Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on what time of the day it is you're listening to this fine podcast, Spilling the Beans. You know the score by now. Usual barrel soccer sense and nonsense, as I think we like to refer to it as beans. So let's get stuck in tonight and meet the guests.
Meet the gang, 'cause the boys are here, the boys to entertain you.
So, as you know by now, we like to mix it up a little bit, try and put the rotation to full effect every week. So this week, we've got the returning Fraser. How's it going, Fraser?
Hello, Jonny. Yeah, I'm fine, thank you. I've just recovered from last week's lurgy, which means I am back in fine voice and here to enlighten you all this evening.
Glad you enjoyed it so much last time. You've come back for a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah. Chomping at the bit to come back.
You're quite a popular guest, actually. We had some people writing in, some ladies asking about you to see if you're single or not and everything. So, yeah, you seem to have quite the effect. Which is nice to know we have some women listening to this podcast. So, and in addition to Fraser as well, back on the scene, we've got Mr. Punx. How are you, mate?
Yeah, very okay. Yeah, just starting with a cold. I think I might have got Fraser's cold transmitted across the country. It might just be the Holker Street elements on Saturday that's brought it out. I don't know, but yeah, I'm fine. Carrying a bit of an injury, but we'll see how it goes. Probably our least popular guest as well.
I was going to say, Mrs. P will be relieved to know that no female listeners contacted to get in touch with you, Punk. So just the boys. So yeah, let's get stuck into it because there's quite a bit to talk about.
That was the week that was. It's over. Let it go.
Well, Fraser, as Dave likes to remind everybody every time we come on this podcast, we're unbeaten since the Given Beans podcast started. So taking full credit for that one, and that unbeaten run continued in the form to a rather peculiar game, which ended in a draw against Barnet. How did you view that one?
I thought it was very entertaining, to be honest, and I think it was interesting because I thought we played really, really well in the first half. We seemed like we got in behind quite a lot. We got the early goal, and then there was the completely mindless sending off, which completely sort of changed the direction of the game. Did really well. I really enjoyed Elliot Newby's, well, probably not Elliot Newby's, the dubious goals committee. I don't know who they're giving that to because it deflected off two players, and I'm not sure his shot was on target. I like to give it to Elliot Newby. It was a proper Barrow goal. I like it when we're like, I don't know, when we're up against it, when we've got like one arm tied behind our back and we somehow managed to conjure out a result. So that combined with some further Stanway heroics and a bit of theatrics from a couple of the Barnet players in the second half made for some entertaining viewing.
Yeah, I don't think it was given to Newby in the end, was it? I think ricocheted off about two players before they end up in the back of the net. His credit is as Tavares' own goal, who were a great band, by the way. But yeah, it's a difficult one to award to Newby. But yeah, Punx, you were stood on a rather hot and then a very cold Holker Street terrace at the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely a Baltic classic Holker Street weather. But yeah, I agree with Fraser. I think in terms of the match, we were cruising first half, got the relatively early goal. I was thinking, I've got to sleep now. Sleep out for until 90 minutes because we were that comfortable. And then the sending off just comes out of nowhere, really. Appeared to be a bit of a tussle, didn't it? I couldn't see fully from where I was standing what went on, but you could see clearly enough. And seeing it afterwards in the videos, he quite clearly put the forearm into Lado's face, and it's going to be a sending off, isn't it? But after that, sometimes like when teams go down to 10 men, especially when we're playing them, we don't seem to play any better, but they're really improved sort of tenfold from their previous performance in the game, and they really could have ran away with the game, I think. They got the 2 goals. We then hit the bar. Then we had the tremendous Stanway save. And you're thinking, at that point, how many is it going to be? We're not going to get anything out of this game. And then sort of classic Barrow, really, especially at the moment with the resilience has been mentioned. We pop up with a possibly slightly lucky, but we'll take it goal.
Yeah, we'll come to the sending off in a bit because I think that's worth a little section on itself. But it feels like, I'll come back to you, Fraser, on this one. 6 or so games ago, that just kind of wouldn't have happened with the team's kind of mindset where it was. It seemed like even though it was backs against the wall, Barnet looked like they could have put 3 or 4 past us in the space of 10 minutes in that first part of the second half. Just a different Barrow side seems to kick in now, doesn't it? And once they got that goal back, albeit fortunate, they really, really seem to dig in from there. And that seems to be, that's a characteristic really of what's been this underwing side over the last 6 games now.
Yeah, there seems to be quite a bit of resilience there. And I think because we'd been through similar last weekend, we're like, oh, here we go again, sort of thing. We sort of know what to do. And it was interesting really to see Wings sort of respond to he made those 2 changes at half time. Maybe arguably went a bit too early in terms of trying to shore things up too much, but I think you're a bit like damned if you do, damned if you don't. If he didn't make changes and then like the Barnet completely overwhelmed us and ran away with the game, there would have been hell on. No, it was interesting. Just a word on Barnet, because I think they're like they seem like a pretty decent League Two team, and I remember quite a few of the chattering classes. Again, not the top 20 podcast, tipped them to go straight back up again, and I don't know what yourself and Punx think, but I don't think I saw that in there. I think there could be a lot of teams that come up from the Vanarama League are comfortably mid-table at least, but you do have your Stockports and your Wrexhams who came up with a lot of money, and we're punching at the top of the division. But I didn't really see that from Barnet. Really, I just don't know where all this fuss about them has come from.
Sorry, Fraser, did you say the tipped them to go straight up again?
Straight up again, yeah, automatically.
Well, interesting opinion. It's not one that I had before the season started, but yeah, I don't think there's anything there on Saturday that would lead me to believe that, maybe they'll sort of be on the tail end of the playoffs, possibly, if they can put a decent run together. But yeah, we look a reasonably solid League Two side, and that's about as much praise as I would give them, I think.
Yeah, I think we touched upon this a little bit last week as well, that how teams that now get promoted seem to think that, it's on the cards for an automatic, to get that top position in the National League, which is really tough, to get an automatic promotion spot. You've got to be a good side consistently throughout the whole season down the National League. There tends to be that one team who looks nailed on to run away with it at some point. And then they come into this division thinking, okay, we've seen the likes of Stockport, we've seen the likes of Wrexham, we've seen the likes of Chesterfield do well and expect the same. But as we mentioned on the podcast last week, these are different ballparks in terms of budgets, in terms of crowds that no doubt feed into them budgets. And, I think an expectation that the big crowds and the big clubs kind of bring with it, it seems like they're very well positioned to come up, but I don't see Barnet as one of them sides that are in that type of category. But who knows? And I said the same thing last week. It's one of them leagues though. If you do find yourself in this position mid-table and you can get that run of games together towards the end of the season, then who knows? But yeah, I think for me on that particular question, of who's probably looked best so far, probably the ones who are right up there, Walsall, Swindon, MK Dons seem to be about the probably standout side. Punx, you're up close and personal most weeks on them concrete steps. Who would you say probably on what you've seen after this 14 games?
Yeah, I was impressed with MK Dons when they beat us down here. I thought they looked a very good footballing side, a very strong side, and I think at that point I was in my own mind tipping them to get one of the automatics, if not the top of the league. Walsall, they've kicked on a bit from last season, haven't they? In terms of their league position, obviously dropping out at the playoff stage, it can go one or two ways. You can either kick on again and go one better, or you can really capitulate the next season. But they seem to be up there at least, and again, look, a pretty reasonable side. It's so tight, that league now, really down to sort of just below mid-table. Very hard to call, I think, at this stage, a winner of the league, an automatic, or even who's going to be in the playoffs. I mean, we could continue this run, and we could be bothering the playoffs ourselves. It's that tight at the moment. So, yeah, I think that it's going to be interesting. And maybe things will settle down, and we'll have a better idea after Christmas. But who knows?
Yeah, and I think just on the Barnet question as well, you touched upon this before. Up until the sending off, which we'll come to in a second, I felt like we're pretty much cruising. I mean, that first goal was a bit strange, Fraser, as well. I mean, they just seemed to completely switch off in that bottom corner for a second, letting kind of Mahoney and Whitfield just have the space to pick out Josh Gordon.
Yeah, they made life easy for us, I think. And yeah, I mean, we're hardly the most sort of incisive attacking team in the league. It was quite nice to sort of see us, I don't know, be so decisive in front of goal. Josh Gordon in front of a sunny Alter Street end. It was like the ideal sort of start, and we're really sort of built on that in the rest of the second half. We just seem to have a bit of those sorts of, the metaphorical shackles have come off a bit, whereas previously we've been quite like furtive and a bit tentative with how we've been attacking, but it was quite it was flowing sort of much better, and I guess that comes with confidence. I think I quite like the look of this team now that we've got, and we're actually able to cause some damage to the opposition, which is good. And what with it being a really tight league, I think, yeah, we can start to look upwards now rather than looking over our shoulder.
Yeah, one thing we spoke about on the podcast last week as well was about Canavan and how he gets back in this side. I've heard from people that it's not actually far away from being fit now and being in contention for a start. I mean, that's just made that easier on wing. If the reality that MJ Williams is probably going to be out now for 3 games, if he can get back that quick, it sounds like he's just going to slot straight back in after only a week ago, wondering whether that'll be the case. I mean, let's just touch upon the red card a little bit, because we were cruising up until that point, it felt like, and that was just a moment of madness, it seemed, Punx. I mean, there didn't seem to be anything in it at all, didn't it? He's just kind of channeled his inner Josh Kay and just lashed out recklessly at the Barnet player.
Yeah, I mean, from the distance I was stood, hard to see what went on immediately prior to the incident. You've got to think there's something there, hasn't there? The opposition player has riled him up enough for him to sort of lash out that way, because it wasn't sort of a get off me motion. It was if something else had happened, but I couldn't quite see from either the replay or live on the day what had led up to that. Because MJ Williams, does he seem like the sort of player that would lash out? He doesn't generally, to me. He seems generally kind of sort of calm and collected. So, yeah, maybe a little bit out of character, but right in front of the referee, and then someone, I don't know if it was the player himself, was making a hell of a lot of noise after he went down, which is going to play to the ref. And the ref was right on it, straight red. Can't argue with it, really.
A moment of madness, the proverbial brain fart. I mean, I guess the lads on the popular side probably enjoyed it. I think no, it's just completely, just very silly, and he's not going to Spennymoor at the weekend. You'll miss Grimsby, and then I think Bromley after that, unless there's a game I missed out. So yeah, well, without him, and the thing is, he's quite versatile. So it leaves us with gaps in defence and or midfield. So yeah, it's a bit of a blow. He's our sort of standing captain at the moment. So yeah, it just seemed a bit mad, especially after last weekend. I'm sure the gaffer during the week was like, don't try not and get anyone sent off. And yeah, it was. I just don't know what he was thinking. It's just inexcusable, and he'll know that. And I'm pretty certain it won't happen again. We'll come back to this later on in the season, I guess.
How much of it is a worry? I mean, thankfully, one of them games against Spennymoor in the cup, that brings it down to more like two league games, two tough games, one at home to Grimsby and one away to Bromley, like you said. But it doesn't seem an overreaction to say that MJ Williams has probably been one of the main talisman of this whole turnaround of the last 6 games. He seems to be the kind of real solid piece that's helped Barrow to turn their fortunes around. I mean, how much do you think that is going to be a miss, especially for them 2 tough league games coming up?
It's going to be a pretty big miss, because I think we forgot that he was injured at the start of the season. It's no coincidence we struggled without him, and he's come in. I think him and Harper as the 2 holding midfielders. I bet you bottom dolly wouldn't find much of a stronger midfield team in this division in terms of being quite industrious and breaking up play. So yeah, I think Grimsby, looking beyond Spennymoor, Grimsby is going to be a tough game. I think they're maybe sort of up there with your Walsalls and your MK Dons, and yeah, Bromley away. Yeah, could probably do with him. Put it that way. But I guess we'll find out in mid-November how much of a miss he's been. I mean, he had to play against Nottingham Forest's kids this evening as sort of by virtue of being suspended for the league and FA Cup games. So yeah, I guess that's punishment. So that's almost like an additional punishment.
Yeah, and just lastly on the game this week before we move on, Punx, Josh Gordon seems to be really crucial now, I think, to this side. I think his goal obviously came, he missed that chance, which I think people are a little bit harsh. I still think it was a difficult thing to kind of put away. He had to kind of, get it in from the edge of the box and beat the keeper at that point, and he kind of snapped it a little bit. But his performance in the second half and the way he kind of dug in is just showing that actually his all-round game, Josh Gordon, has kind of been a kind of vital piece and an important move in bringing him back.
Yeah, I was happy that we brought him back. I think he does. I know it's a bit of a cliche, the defend from the front, but he certainly gives you that. He's willing to chase down every lost ball. And he can finish. He's a good finisher. He scores those goals that we've been sort of missing, really, in and around the sort of 6-yard area. He can pop up there and finish well. So yeah, he's certainly been key to, certainly one of the key players to our sort of mini revival, if you will, and long may it continue.
Yeah, and talking to strikers as well, and Fraser mentioned there about the game against Notts Forest tonight. Cameron got on the score sheet. Is that his first goal for Barrow?
Yeah, it is, and I don't know if it should help his confidence. I like him. He seems quite a bit of a rough diamond, and obviously scouted him out quite extensively, and were aware that Kilmarnock were releasing him. He just maybe, I don't know, it hasn't quite looked up to the standard. Potentially, maybe he goes out on loan in January. Maybe he kicks on from here. But yeah, no, won't do him any harm to get on the score sheet. Maybe he can get a bit of a run out on Saturday against Spennymoor as well. It'd be a good sort of test for him to try and build on his achievements this evening.
Yeah, I think as well. I think it's worth pointing out with Innes Cameron when he kind of had a baptism of fire here, didn't he? We had that really tough start. We had a lot of injuries. We were a new team trying to find our feet. He's kind of been thrown into that with no real Football League experience. So maybe he comes into a better side here where the vibes are a lot better, the form's a lot better, and he can help offer a different dynamic. So yeah, certainly don't harm, him getting on the score sheet tonight. So let's come to Spennymoor. Let's just check if anybody's left anything for us on the answer machine, because finding a Spennymoor fan isn't the easiest thing to do. So at the point at this time of mention, I'm not too sure if we have, but let's just have a look.
Hello, you've reached the offices of Given Beans. All our beans operatives are busy getting it forward at the moment. Please leave your message after the beep.
Evening, gents. My name's Dan. I'm a Spennymoor Town fan, and I've followed the club now for around 35 years, right the way back to Spennymoor United, and then through to the current day, obviously, as our current guys as Spennymoor Town. I'm nervous for Saturday. If you asked me a couple of weeks ago, we were as confident as anyone. If you asked any Spennymoor fan 2 or 3 weeks ago, we'd be telling you we were going to win the FA Cup after going on a decent run, keeping 6 clean sheets in a row. However, over the last couple of weeks, we've gone from being absolutely impenetrable to seemingly conceding goals at will. Conceding 10 in our last 3 games. But Saturday, we have to be quietly confident. I think for you guys, it's a bit of a banana skin. The chance of a real upset in our eyes. You know, I don't think anyone would have fancied coming to the Brewery Field. We have been pretty solid, like I say, apart from the last 2 or 3 games. But it's the FA Cup. Anything can happen. I think we all know that. It's a little bit sweet as well, obviously, with Isaac Fletcher coming back. We just hope that he doesn't come back to bite us on the backside. We all know how good of a player Fletcher is. I'm sure you have seen it in the 6, 7, 8 months or so since you signed him. Actually, it'll be coming up to 10 months, one, because it was around Christmas last year. But yeah, I've got good memories of Barrow, I suppose, if you can call them good memories. Going back to the Unibond days, you know, I came across when I was a little bit younger, and I remember some pretty good games between the two sides. So overall, excited, nervous. Hopefully, we can stay in the game long enough and cause you some problems, and maybe, who knows, cause a bit of an upset. I'm sure you come into the game full of confidence as well with your recent performances and your upturn in form. But we'll see. We'll see what happens, I suppose. I hope all you fans have a safe journey across, and one thing's for sure, you'll certainly get a warm northeast welcome from us. All the best. I hope you enjoy your day, but hopefully not too much. Cheers, lads.
So it's FA Cup time. I always look forward to the draw, especially for this round, because it's always the potential for something a bit more interesting. With still a lot of the low league sides being in the competition. And this time I felt when the draw came out, it was Spennymoor. I felt pretty happy about that. Not because, they're a team in the divisions below us and it should be a routine win, because I don't look at it like that at all. I think it's a banana skin we could very well slip on. But it just felt like a bit of an old school tie, away from home against Spennymoor. It's been a while since we've had a game like that against some old non-league foes. What was your thoughts on this particular tie, Fraser? I know it's your part of the world as well, so you must have been particularly excited.
I was just delighted. I was sat there in the living room, I was trying to manifest Spennymoor away, and I got Spennymoor away, so pretty pleased. Fairly sort of handy for me. Just for context, I've recently relocated to the northeast from Manchester and presently in Whitley Bay, so it's fairly handy for me to get to, have a nice day out, calling in at Durham on the way there, and it's a bit of a throwback, because I think back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, we used to play the Spennymoor United, I think they were called back then. We used to play quite a few sort of teams like that, like your Blythe Spartans. I'm sure there's various others that were played in the FA Cup or the FA Trophy way back when. So it's a good throwback. We've got quite a big sort of northeast link back to like Ray Wilkie's days. Had a load of Geordies on the book. So yeah, there's something nice and reassuring about it. It'll be a tough game. They're going quite well at towards the top of the Conference North. But I think it's eminently winnable, but we've got to obviously be careful. No complacency. Really, really got to be at it. I'm sure the crowd will be very, very vocal and will be getting behind their team. Be sort of, what's the phrase? Is it's sort of sniffing blood? I think they'll be well up for this on Saturday in County Durham.
Might be quite literally. I always remember them trips to North East, places like Bishop Auckland and stuff, being rather feisty. So all them sort of ex-pit towns, I'm sure you and the family are very familiar with.
Yeah, no, you can imagine. There has been a tale way back when Barrow played Whitley Bay, and there was some fisticuffs at a pub which has a children's soft play area attached to it, and I just sort of thought, like, well, how has that happened? I just thought it just seems completely mind-boggling. But I guess there were some pretty sort of tasty sort of encounters back in the Unibond or whatever the Northern Premier Division was called at the turn of the millennium.
Hey, you've not been to the Wacky Warehouse in Barra on a Saturday afternoon. That's it's a gauntlet in itself. So that's probably where they learned the trade. Punx, any memories of Spennymoor? You go back a bit further than me and Fraser. You must be able to pull something out there.
Yeah, I'm maybe not quite as excited as Fraser about the draw. He's very enthusiastic there, and I'm not sure if many people are quite that sort of excited about going to Spennymoor. Like you say, it's one of those potential banana skins. But I think it's quite difficult, isn't it, to sort of see ourselves as the giant in these giant killing scenarios. It's something to get slowly getting used to, I guess. Think back to sort of the Banbury game, Can't remember who their manager was at the time, but that was a very professional performance there, the 4-0 victory. But yeah, it's going to be a difficult atmosphere, I think, to cope with, as Fraser alluded to. So I think getting an early goal obviously would be nice, and kick on from there. But if they get the first goal, they've got something to hang on to. The crowd is up. It's just one of those potential FA Cup moments that you don't want to be on the wrong end of. So yeah, it's not actually going to the game myself, so I'll probably listen to that one on the radio.
Yeah, I was going to mention the Banbury game actually, because that's what sprung to my mind as well. It's obviously we got Andy Wing in charge for us. He'd have been on the kind of receiving end of a rather professional Barrow performance in what was billed as a bit of a banana skin. He'll be desperately probably try to do the same again, won't he, Fraser? I imagine just keep it cool, do our thing, and don't do an MJ Williams on 40 minutes or whatever it was. Sent off to make it tough for us.
Yeah, we've got to be sensible. We've got to be professional. There'll be players in that Spennymoor team who will be really determined to dump us out of that cup. And it's a bit like is against Maidstone a few years ago. There's like I think this was alluded to on the social, not to sort of cross-reference podcast, but there was a bit of a Maidstone had some form of hex going over them that season. I don't know if we did a massive amount wrong, but they went on to beat Ipswich, and sometimes there is the cliched magic of the FA Cup. Weird things can happen. As long as we can sort of say, look, we've gone in, no complacency, no stupidity, no underestimating the opposition, and yeah, I think it'll be okay. We could do with the cup run to really like boost the coffers at the club. It's been quite a sort of a fallow couple of years in terms of FA Cup runs, and if we can get some moolah in, then that will really help, I think.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well the other day. Is it Barnsley, I think? Is that probably the last first we got? Punx, is that ringing the bells with you? I feel like that was the last sort of big FA Cup game that we had, which I still feel very, very bitter about, because obviously I think that was the first year they removed the replays, wasn't it? Went to extra time. Is that right? So we would have had a replay against Barnsley at Holker Street, I think. I don't know. So blur into one, but I feel like that seems to be some kind of COVID after effect or something like that.
Barnsley was straight after COVID, I think. I think they sort of retained that rule after that. So I think it went to extra time, and Barnsley scored the 5th in extra time, and we had that penalty shout turned down by Ross Joyce, which is really sort of, yeah, that was a mad game of football. That was absolutely, sorry to go on, that was absolutely like the best game of football I've ever been to, because I was gutted, but it was just like a force of nature.
Yeah. Whilst we're on FA Cup memories, Punx, any sort of stand out for you over the years?
Yeah, I suppose you've got to think about the Sunderland and the Middlesbrough games, 2 massive games for the club. At the time, I think we held the record, didn't we, for the most number of away fans at the Riverside?
Yeah, still stands.
Gareth Southgate, I think, was manager there at the time at Middlesbrough. But what happened to him? But yeah, I think the Middlesbrough game out of the 2 was probably my favourite, simply because we were more in the game. We had chances maybe to even get an equaliser after it went to 2-1, and obviously replays were still a thing at the time. Being Middlesbrough back to Holker Street on a Tuesday night, that would have been quite something. The Sunderland game, I just remember being absolutely freezing. It was a very, very cold day. I was trying to run a bus through work, and I said to him, I want to get a bus running through work. And he said, my mate's just starting up a bus company. we'll get a coach dead cheap. I was like, oh, brilliant, mate. Yeah, we'll get that sorted. So got the coach sorted. This lad's got his new coach company. I can't remember what we charge now. I don't know, 10 a head. People at work filled the bus up. Bus turns up and it was like something like the 1970s. It had no heating on it. Absolutely just this wreck of a coach. And we travelled to bloody Sunderland in this absolutely freezing. You could see your breath in the aisle. Absolute nightmare. So, yeah, it was doomed from the start, that one, I think.
Yeah. What about you, Fraser? Any particular standout ones, I suppose, other than the ones that have been mentioned?
Yeah, just going back to that Sunderland game, it was absolutely freezing. Thankfully, I didn't have to. I remember the A66 was closed, and there was ironic cheers when the public address system announced that the Barrow fans had to go find an alternative route home. I remember one. Basically, the car park at the metro station next to the Stadium of Light, there was a car full of Barrow fans who couldn't get the car out the car park because of the skidding in the ice. And fortunately, one of my friends, who's quite a big South African chap, got out of the car to assist them. This quite skinny looking Barrow supporting lad looked like all of his Christmases had come at once, being like, oh, thank goodness this is our saviour. And my friend pushed them out of the car park. But there's that, and I'm going to go on to horror stories, actually. It's Shore Lane Aquaforce away under Mickey Moore. Oh my goodness. Absolute disaster. It was like turning up at a glorified car boot sale on the outskirts of Barnsley. That was a straight. They don't exist anymore. That was a proper horror show. Jimmy Dunn getting sent off. What became of him? Now he's doing quite well in the championship. Now he's like fairly handy.
I think there's a Beans article somewhere in that one, Fraser. So
yeah,
jot that one down.
Yeah.
We can tell more about that one. The obscure FA Cup games over the years. But yeah, of course, Brentford as well, knocking Brentford out in 2008, I think it was.
Yeah.
2-1. I remember Matt Henney getting a goal. I actually ended up working not so long ago, I think like last year, with a guy who was a Brentford fan, and he asked me who I support. I support Barrow. And it's like, I went to Holker Street when we played us in the FA Cup. And if you remember at the end of the game, everyone sort of piled onto the pitch and the police formed a sort of cordon in front of the Steelworks end to stop the fans kind of getting at Brentford fans. Even I don't think they were going to do anything. I just think they were sort of golden on. And he says to me on the call, this guy at work goes, yeah, and I remember at the end of it, just desperate to get out of the place as all these little scroats just ran onto the pitch trying to get to the away end. And I was thinking, oh God, yeah, they didn't recognise me. So yeah, it's a good tie. It's certainly one we should win. Certainly hoping for a repeat of the way we played against Banbury. Just, like I say, be professional in the way we do things and not cause any particular dramas, but nevertheless, it is a banana skin, so I will be happy if we see our balls in the velvet bag come Sunday or Monday night or whenever it is decide to do the draw. So, yeah, let's wrap this one up here. In other news, we were going to sort of give a bit of a kind of Beans fanzine preview, but we're kind of getting short on time, but that's not a problem because it's going to be out for the Grimsby at home game. So you'll see sellers outside the ground there and at Bromley away as well. So on next week's episode, we'll give a better rundown on what to expect in the fanzine, but it's looking good in the Punks. We've managed to pack this one out. It's a little bit late this time due to efforts around the podcast and Battle 125, but it's nearly here.
Apologies for the late production of this one, but yeah, it couldn't be helped, like you say. But yeah, it's looking a good issue. We'll be out there flogging it. Just £3.
Cash or card?
Cash or card. Yeah.
So keep your eye out for that one. And like I said, we'll give it a bit of a preview on next week's show, hopefully after a convincing performance away up in the northeast. Any final thoughts from you, Fraser, before we call it a night?
Nothing from me. Just say it was a pleasure to join you this evening. Yeah, I'm hoping for a good Barrow contingent. I'm yet to be aware if there are many Barrow fans in the northeast. I mean, there was loads in Manchester, but if there's any Barrow fans who are based in the northeast who happen to be listening to this, do come and say hello on Saturday, and we'll get some form of supporters club. I mean, a bit of a Grandoise term, but like we'll be good to like get a supporters club of some form set up here.
I can feel a banner in the making. That's for sure.
Yeah, Tyneside branch or something.
Yeah. Okay, nice one. Anyway, Punx, always a pleasure. Fraser, thanks for your time, and we'll speak again soon. Into the cup we go. Up for the cup.